The Boat Biz podcast with the MRAA. We have some incredible content lined up for you with this podcast that we're going to be delivering industry updates, insights that boat dealers need to be aware of, opportunities that dealers can take advantage of, and our favorite part here at the MRAA, actionable ideas that you can implement. First and foremost priority for us in everything that we do here at the MRAA is to deliver on our mission. And that mission is really to recognize that if our industry is going to be successful, our dealers have to be successful. So we drive the success of our dealers. It's something we're very passionate about here. And the way that we look at things around here, it's always a great time to be in the boat biz. Hey everybody, Matt Gruhn here with the Marine Retailers Association. Thank you so much for joining us for this, the very first of the Boat Biz podcast with the MRAA. Wanted to welcome you, wanted to say thanks for joining us. We have some incredible content lined up for you with this podcast that we're going to be delivering fairly regularly. So watch out for it. Keep an eye on this podcast. But this content, I believe we're going to share some really great insights from around this industry, some actionable things that you can use to run a better business, to some insights that hopefully will give to you that you might not have known about, and really give you some great insights again to help you run your business. So I'm excited today to be here with my dear friend Liz Walz. Liz is, of course, the Vice President of Education here at the MRAA, and really is the kind of the heart and soul of our organization and what we do to deliver on our mission. Liz, welcome.
Thanks, Matt. I'm fired up about the podcast. Excited.
We have a long history together. We've been here now. You've actually got 10 years at the MRAA.
It's my 10-year anniversary.
This
whoop,
month.
whoop.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Yeah. You tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, just give our listeners kind of a history of what brought you into the industry, how you got where you are today.
Yeah, well, so 99 was my first year in the industry. So it's been a little while. It has. And it's my home, this industry. It's the home of my career. It's something that has become a part of who I am and what I love to do. Boy, that's a long story. They don't want to listen to that whole story of. But I think the more recent version of the story is that I've found a real passion for being able to serve the dealer community through education. And it's been so cool throughout our time at MRAA to be able to grow the education that we can provide to dealerships and to their teams to help them reach their goals and to help the industry grow and improve. That's what I love to do, is to be able to contribute to that. So.
Yeah, that passion's palpable. And we're going to talk a lot about the education and everything. 23 years since 99, 23 years. That's awesome. Congrats on that. Scale 1 to 10, what do you think of this new podcast so far?
Excellent. 11. Well, let me tell you how I feel about the podcast. Yeah. So what I love about the podcast is we want everything that we do to be practical, to be usable, to be actionable. And how many times have you talked to a dealer where you call them on the phone and they're in their truck delivering a boat somewhere, or you talk to someone and they're on their way to a boat show, towing a boat, or going out to a customer's place to service their boat or take care of it or whatever. And so I love the fact that the podcast can travel with, it's almost dealer meeting season, right? And so dealers are out there traveling on the road. The podcast can travel with them. And so they can tap into what we're doing to serve them and get the latest information and updates on the go when they need it. Love that.
And you're our first guest. I mean, how special is that?
Sweet. Well, here's how I think of it, right? Okay. I'm a good lab rat.
Okay.
I can be Frankenstein. That's fine. You can test all this at me. So.
All right, perfect. I didn't want you to really know that was the mission here, but I appreciate you going along with it. So, Vice President of Education, you build out products, new programs, new educational lineups, and so forth. Dealer Week, which of course is coming up in December, and we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. But you always build these things with an eye on the concrete takeaways. I think you call them the learning objectives, right? And you're building around the learning objectives. So tell us a little bit about, maybe just your approach on how you do that and how it works.
Well, in my mind, I always think back to Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, right? Number 2, begin with the end in mind, right? What's the end that we're trying to achieve with anything that we build? And so the learning objectives are all about what do we want the person who's learning, the dealership, the whether it's the owner or the service manager or the sales manager or whatever team member it is, what do we want them to be able to do to know at the end? And then we build backwards from that. So the learning objectives enable us to have confidence that, hey, we can make a difference for whoever it is who's learning from what we're building. And that's that's the exciting part. It's where the rubber hits the road, right? Education for the sake of education is no good if it's not helping you increase your efficiency or being more profitable or helping you hold on to your employees or serve your customer. That's what it's all about, is what you can do with it, what it helps you be able to do.
So, very first podcast, let's begin with the end in mind.
Yeah.
What does this accomplish? What does this podcast accomplish for MRAA, for the industry? You touched on it a little bit, but give it to us. What does the podcast become?
It's the connection point where we can make sure that the folks that are listening in know how they can tap into the things that we offer that make a difference for them. I connect the dots for them so that in the moment with whatever they're struggling with or dealing with, that we can help them have the information, the insight that they need for whatever is kind of the pain point of the day or the opportunity of the day that's what would be the aspiration, the goal, right?
I think it is. I mean, I think you're dead on with that. I feel like, we always talk about it here, our why statement, right? And the reason that we exist. And so, we look at it as if our industry is going to be successful, that success has got to start with our dealers, the people, the organizations, the companies that are on the front lines of this industry. And if our dealers do a great job of taking care of their customers, then the industry becomes successful because those customers remain passionate about boating, they stay in boating, and all of that. And that comes out in our educational programming. I mean, the way that we approach that, the learning objectives. And, I know we always talk about, and primarily you lead this conversation on, if there's not something to implement, if the dealers aren't going home and having something to implement, then we've not failed, but we haven't accomplished the mission.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be actionable.
So talk a little bit about how you take a concept of, this is what we want to teach, service course, a sales tactic, a guide that we might publish, and lead that all the way through to action and implementation.
A lot of it starts with our relationships with dealership owners and managers and the time that we spend with them, right? It starts with a phone call, or it starts with survey results, or it starts with, our team is on the phone every day with dealership personnel, talking to them, asking them, what's keeping you up at night? What's getting in the way of your success? What opportunities are you trying to chase? What problems are you trying to solve? And so we listen and we hear about what they've got going on, what they're fired up about, what they're losing sleep over, and then we go and design education specifically to try and address that and help them with that. Here's a perfect example. So we know that this year has been, nobody's had the crystal ball, right? And of course, you can say that about a lot of the last couple of years, but things keep changing and dealers are looking, we keep kind of coming to us, asking for us for help figuring out, how do I plan for the future when I don't know what's around the corner? And so we've been working on education to help them do that. But again, it comes from those conversations of getting on the phone and saying, hey, how's it going? What's on your mind? What's worrying you? What are you excited about? And then using that insight to build education that helps them with what they need.
So we know our team is on the phone with those dealers all the time. And let's just talk about this a little bit, because this has been a very powerful learning experience for us. We have a team who every week they're reaching out to a dealer. Every week they're coming back, and we're posting in our messaging system internally here about what we're learning and what we're hearing about dealers. Very clearly what we're seeing, what we're hearing, and what we're reading in that channel is that we are entering this kind of phase of the post-pandemic.
Yes.
We are entering a phase where dealers aren't, well, you tell me, what are we learning? What are we learning from all of those phone calls that that you're looking to respond to with our educational programming?
Sure. Well, so in recent history, right, a lot of the conversation was around the inventory shortage, right? And we've been talking a lot about what's changing, right? Is there more inventory becoming available? And well, in some areas there is, and in some there's not. There's that inconsistency of, hey, it's not like a switch turning on and off. And how do I make decisions when it's not the same across the board, right? How do I make decisions about financial planning when I've got to be concerned about rising interest rates, and how is that going to impact my business, about inflation, and about workforce shortages, and can I hire the team I'm going to need? And so those are just a few of the things that we've been hearing about. There's been boat prices, right, in the used market, about the valuations on boats have been through the roof. But, things are starting to change a little, and trying to keep the pulse on when, trying to predict, right? Predicting is hard.
Right. Yeah, it's looking around that corner, right? Yeah. And trying to figure out what's next. And it's challenging.
Yeah. Well, and so our Spotlight series, right, is something that we've been working on to help dealers in the moment with what they're trying to address. And so we've got that ABC guide to scenario planning that we just launched. And that's a perfect example. Because we can't see around the corner, maybe we do need to map out plan A, plan B, and plan C, so that we know, depending on what happens with the market and how fast it happens, that we're ready.
Right. Tell me a little bit about Spotlight, and tell our listeners a little bit about the Spotlight program and how that works, and maybe just highlight a few of the topics.
Yeah, absolutely. So new for 2022, really exciting. It's our attempt, our work to gather together resources and education and tools each month to address what dealers are facing that time of year, that particular month, depending on how the market's changing and whatnot. And so a good example, I mentioned last month, our topic was to help dealers reassess, hey, we had a plan for this year, a budget for this year, a forecast for this year. We're in the middle of the year. How does it going so far? What needs to change? Do we need to change up our marketing to get more leads in? Do we need to change up our, how am I going to order inventory because it's about that time of year, right? What's happening in the market to help me make that decision? And so just helping dealers with that reassessment, that was our theme for July.
Right.
Now we're into August, right? And August is, we know right around the corner is Labor Day. Some folks, that means putting their boats away. For some, it's October, right? And so our theme for August is all about preparing for the off season. How do you handle that process of bringing boats in, winterizing them, storage, right, in a way that where you can keep your technicians employed throughout the off seasons, because you're upselling customers on business and things like that. So that's kind of the thinking that time of year as we're preparing for the off season.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing. There's a lot of great stuff there, and I know we've done topics like repair event cycle times. We've done topics like hiring. I think retaining's on the agenda. Retaining employees, a huge topic. That sort of thing. And it's dealer meeting season. You mentioned going out and buying inventory, and it's that time of year for dealers to start thinking about what are they going to buy for next year and so forth. So how are we preparing? How is MRAA preparing to help dealers? You talked a little bit about ABC scenario planning. You talked about helping them kind of look into the second half of the year and around the corner and that sort of thing. But what types of things are you working on that are going to give give dealers solutions that for the next 6 months, the next 12 months, 18, whatever it might be.
Well, that's a big part of our planning for Dealer Week, is trying to look ahead and say, not just, in the moment, right? We want to be there for the dealer community to help them with what they're facing right now. But we also want to make sure that when we get to December, that we're arming them with everything they're going to need to be successful next year. And so that's a big part of our education planning, is to put together our educational lineup so that we're helping them not just with what's in the moment right now, but that we're going to help them prepare for success next year.
Right. I do want to come back and talk a little bit about the Dealer Week educational lineup and the things that we're going to be tackling there. But before we get into that, one of the things I love about kind of our array of programs and opportunities for dealers, and just a slight tangent, you do a lot of studying about how the adult brain learns, and the different ways that we approach our learning really reflects how that learns. We have reading, the guides, you mentioned the ABC scenario planning guide, we have online education, go.
Well, webinars, online courses, right?
Yeah.
We have blogs, we've got videos. So lots of different ways that folks can tap into education, depending on what types of education is going to be most effective for them. We look at what the need is and the education that matches up with that. For a webinar, for example, there's Q&A at the end, so dealers have a chance to ask those questions that's keeping them awake at night for their unique dealership, and get the answer right there. The courses in our online course catalog, the beautiful part is people can tap into them when they need them. 200 plus courses where you can go in and search for, preparing for the off season, right? And be able to pull up courses on seasonality. And so, lots of different types of education to help provide for the need, in different formats, depending on what they're looking for.
You mentioned this earlier, really targeting what dealers need in this moment, right? Yeah. And you do that through Spotlight, but we also have, and this kind of ties into Spotlight a little bit, we also have the training and tactics program, TNT, right? Yeah. Where we blend the moment and the need of the moment with the education. Tell us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, well, so we mentioned our course catalog with 200 plus courses, and those courses often are pretty evergreen, right? I mean, if we look back historically, there's key areas where all of us running organizations and businesses need help and support and guidance and direction in key areas. And so what Jared does, who's our host for our TNT series, is he talks about what's going on right now in the marketplace and how that relates to one of the courses in our course catalog, which, whether it's a course from last year or 5 years ago, how it connects to what's going on right now and how dealers can plug into it and use it for what's happening now. And so he does a wonderful job of curating, like going into the catalog and finding, hey, here's what dealers need, and here's the course that correlates with that, and then helps connect the dots to say, we hear what you're saying about what you need, and this course can help you, and here's how.
Right. I love that. Yeah, and I love that, and not only is it great because it's curated and it's in the moment for what dealers need, but what we're finding is that dealers can now use it to train their teams. Yeah. And they can assign the courses on a monthly basis.
You sign up for the whole year's worth, and every month you have a course that's just ready to go for what you need in the moment to help train your team. And so it makes training a part of your culture, right? That culture of continuous improvement. We're your partner in helping you have that just served up right to you. Sign up, subscribe, and there you go. You've got your training plan for the year, and Jared does a wonderful job of connecting the dots of like, this is why this is important right now.
That's awesome. So we talk a lot around here about the need that our industry has for workforce. Workforce development, workforce support, hiring, retaining, we touched on a little bit already. But really all of these programs, all of these, whether it's a guide or a webinar or the online catalog or TNT or Dealer Week, they really all go to staff training, which leads to staff retention, staff development, all of that sort of thing. How do you really approach the educational programming through those eyes of workforce development?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different, I mean, this could be a whole different podcast, right. But I'll give you a couple highlights that pop to mind for me. So one of them is, you talked about employee retention. We know how hungry, of course, we all want all of our team to be hungry to improve and grow, but particularly with the younger generations that are becoming a bigger part of our workforce, they want that path to improvement. They want to know, how are they going to get to that next position? Can I get better and improve and grow? And so as employers, right, we're on the hook to show them the path, to say, here's how I can help you grow the way you want to. Here's how I can, and so plugging into their motivation and showing them that there's a path for you here. We care about your success and we're going to help you get there. And here's what we can provide. MRAA can be the dealer's partner in that, because we've got this great lineup of education to help with that, to help them provide that path. So that's one way to look at it. Then there's the other side. You put your manager hat on. I mean, and obviously managers want to retain their employees and grow their employees. But the other part of it is, as a manager, you also want to hit your performance goals. You want your service department to be as efficient as it possibly can be. You want, as an owner, you want every department in your business to be profitable. And so education can also be used to help with performance gaps, right? You see an area where you're underperforming, you're not quite where you want to be, the education can be used as a way to help you solve those performance gaps. And so there's kind of putting on your employee hat and saying, how can I help that employee reach the goals that they're looking for, so that we can hold on to them and be able to continue to have them investing their time and energy in our business. And then there's also the flip side of, hey, we need to perform at a certain level. Education can help you perform.
I love it. I love the vision and the packaging of all of this that you're able to put together. You're in town in Minneapolis this week. We're here together to talk about workforce related things. We're blending that a little bit with our strategic plan, and maybe I'm a little bit of exclusive, little breaking news here for everybody. Give us a glimpse into the future. What are we talking about this week? What's the strategic plan that our board and our strategic partners and our staff worked on? What is the charge? What's next? Yeah. Give us the insight.
Well, so quick history, right? We've had a lot of education out there for dealership owners and managers, but we've never really assembled it in a way that has had position-specific, a path on a position-specific level to say, here's how someone will use a service writer as an example, because this was a hot topic for our partners and for our board when we had the strategic planning session. We have not taken all that robust education that we have and organized it in a way to say, here's how we're going to help you get from whether it's someone new walking in the door into a position for the very first time, or whether it's someone who's been there for a few years who's looking to improve and grow. How can we focus on position-specific, a credentialing program perhaps, so organizing our training that way to lead them to higher levels of performance in the dealership, whether it's at the beginning of their career, in the middle of their career. We always talk about the 101, the 201, the 301. There's an opportunity for us to create a training plan, and not just a training plan, but actually a credential program that leads them down that path. So that's what we've been charged with, and that's what we're starting to work on. It's exciting. It is so exciting. It is so exciting.
So, we talk a lot here internally about how dealers can grow with us, right? And we have all these programs and services, and how dealers can grow from, being members to coming to the conference, to get into the online training, all the way up to the certification program. And of course, all of these programs really work hand in hand together. They work very closely. Workforce development, employee engagement, that sort of thing is one of the main pillars of our certification program.
Yes.
three pillars: employee engagement, of course, operations, and the customer focus. And the customer focus we know is so critical. But if we get the other two things right, if we get the operations right, the systems, the processes, we get the employee equation right and that engagement right, then the customer service part of it really kind of, I don't want to make it sound easy, like it takes care of itself.
Yeah, they'll get mad at you.
Right. but that's how it all kind of adds up, right? I mean,
it definitely is a synergistic relationship, right? You need all three of those pillars. They all correlate to each other. They all support each other.
Right. So how we've talked a lot about the workforce development, the employee side of it. How does what we're doing from a educational standpoint start to approach the operations, the systems and the processes? How does the education approach the customer experience side of things in the way that we create and deliver education?
I'm going to turn this back to you again. Are you ready?
I don't know. We'll see.
Are you asking about the connection between those pillars and how we organize education or how we approach it? I mean, I could go on about certification and the systems and processes that it helps us create to get to all of those things. Is that what you're asking for?
Well, so yes and no. I'll clarify. I apologize. So we're correlating a lot of this education to workforce development, and it's all workforce development, because we can develop better employees, better managers, better leaders, that lead to better dealerships. So we talk about it in that frame of it's workforce development, it's employee engagement, but we also do a lot of work building education programs that contribute to dealership operations, that contribute to customer experience.
Yes.
Give us some examples. Talk a little bit about how that works. If it ties into the certification program,
sure,
because of course it does. Go that route as well. But just give us an idea of other opportunities there.
Well, so you mentioned customer experience as an example, and what we talk about is that you can have. We all have employees in our businesses that are fantastic with customers, right? That deliver just wonderfully when it comes to that, but we want consistency, right? We want every one of our team members coming together to approach the customer in a way that's going to result in that experience. We don't want one person on our team to be delivering a 10 on the customer experience chart and another to be delivering a 3, right? So we want to find a way to be able to consistently deliver at that high level that we know that we can achieve, that we envision, that we're passionate about. And how do we do that? We do that through creating processes and then training our team on those processes. And so we have a lot of education that looks at different processes in the dealership that helps dealers both create those processes through the certification program, but also improve those processes because things are changing, technology is changing, customer expectations are changing. What it means to provide a great customer experience is changing. And so, I mean, look at COVID and how that has changed what customers expect from a dealership. And so the ability to create those processes and then improve them, education plays a key role in helping dealers do that work and then continuously updating them to make them better so that we're adapting, right? We're changing in a way that benefits our business, keeping up with things. Is that?
Yeah, that's exactly where my mind was with it. The certification program. So again, as we talk about, hey, Dealer Week is a week out of the year. Great participation from a lot of dealers and a lot of partners and so forth. Silver membership, which gives you full access to our online catalog, gives you access to these courses that you can watch 24/7 whenever you want. But then certification adds a layer of accountability, right? Yes. We get a lot of MRAA Silver members who are taking these courses who say, I need some more accountability for what's happening with my team taking these courses, what they're implementing or not implementing as it may be, how we're approaching things like customer service, customer experience, and that sort of thing, how we're approaching the ways that we use and implement and improve upon our systems and processes. Talk a little bit about that accountability element that certification brings to the table, that gives them, the dealerships, an opportunity to really hone in on what they need to do to improve.
Yeah. Accountability is a big part of what dealers ask us for, and that's the beauty of certification, is that it delivers it. The ability to, there's a lot of different ways in which we provide it. When you're becoming certified, right? There's a specific process and checklist that you go through where you're building. You don't just become certified out of a desire to improve and grow. You've got to show, right? The accountability of showing that you've got those systems and processes in place, that you've done the work, and that you've come together with your team to have an employee satisfaction survey process where you're using feedback from your team to improve and grow. That you have CSI tracking and trending, and that you're doing an assessment of your facilities every year, right? All of those things that go to say, hey, our certified dealers are at a different level because they're doing all these, they've done this work. But then the accountability part is really continuing, right? Hey, we created this foundation, we're maintaining it, and then we're going to build on it. Right. And that's where the education comes in, of saying, hey, we're not just going to have you take a course, but there's a test at the end. We ask you to go in and make a commitment to continuous improvement, and do some performance planning and say, hey, here's how I took what I learned from continuous certification this year, whether it's the courses or the employee satisfaction survey process or whatnot, and here's how I'm using that to improve my performance. And really, so it's robust.
Right. I love it. One of the great things, we talked about this earlier, about seeing around the corner and what's next, right? Certification, systems, the processes that the program asks you to put into place really helps you build a foundation that allows you to maybe not to predict what's going to happen, but whatever does happen, it helps you be prepared for it.
Well, you can have your finger on the pulse of it because you're doing the work to understand what's going on with your customers, right, to understand what's going on with your team. Right. You've got a process in place to make sure you don't miss those things, right? And then once you have that information, we also hold you accountable for using it.
Right.
And that's what dealers tell us they love, is having a system and a process to do that. They don't have to figure that out on their own. We've built that. We have consultants that hold their hands. One of the things I want to do in all of this conversation is give a shout out to not only our incredible consultants, who are also sometimes our subject matter experts, right? Our educators and trainers, but we work with the best educators and trainers and consultants in this industry who really are there to help the dealers through all of this. And so both our courses and the education, the folks that we work with on those are really the ones who take that deeper dive, that are there to help the dealers reach that next level. And then there's the consultants who are there, making sure that we connect the dots, and that the dealer gets what they need, that customization.
Right. So I think there is a way here where we can say we do help the dealer see around the corner a little bit, just in the, we talked about certification.
Yeah.
We also have the continuing education program that goes with it. We've talked about the courses with that, but just to kind of clarify, we have the continuous certification curriculum, where there's courses that we require the certified dealers to take in order to maintain their certification status.
And they're not just any course. They're courses specific.
They're our best courses.
They're our best courses. That they're the deepest dive. They're specifically for certified dealers. They take into account the fact that certified dealers have that foundation in place. They've already got a process, right? How do we help them make it better? And so it's really designed to serve those dealers that are at the top of their game.
Right. And it's not like, hey, just go in and pick a course and watch a course in the catalog. It's every year you're custom building these courses to deliver them based on a topic that the dealers need to know right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. So we transition a little bit to what is likely the most visible part of who we are as an organization, Dealer Week, right? Dealer Week, our conference and expo held every December. Coming up this year in Austin, Texas, second year in Austin, Texas. Very appropriate for us, right? 50th anniversary for MRAA. Super excited about that. A lot of people don't know this, but MRAA was actually founded in Texas. So we're going home, 50th anniversary. We're going to have a huge celebration for that.
Back to our roots, yeah.
But it's not about going to Austin just to party.
No?
Well, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. There'll be a little bit of that too. But I know the educational lineup this year is super robust.
We're pretty excited.
What can our audience expect from that educational lineup?
Well, I don't think I'm giving anything away. We've announced this already. Our theme for this year, discipline amidst disruption, right? Yep. We've been talking about the curveballs, right? The uncertainty of the last couple of years and how we continue dealers prepare for whatever is around the corner. And so a lot of what the tools and resources and guides and takeaways at Dealer Week are going to help them do is prepare for next year. To be able to prepare for no matter what the economy does, right? We don't want to use the R word, I don't think, but we don't know how fast things are going to change or exactly how they will. And we want to make sure that these businesses are prepared for whatever is there. And that's the fundamental, right, piece of how we built the education was to help them prepare for 2023. And all that's going to be different next year.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
You're going to Dealer Week. You're looking forward to what's the number one course that you're looking forward to, or the top couple courses that you're looking forward to? That's
a tough one. You're gonna make me choose. That's like going to a parent and saying, pick your favorite kid. That's not fair. That's not fair. There's I'll highlight a few and then we can have part two, right?
Okay.
And
Sure.
You're gonna be here for a long time. One of the ones that I think we're all excited about at MRAA, we have the head coach from EOS Worldwide coming to give 2 sessions on creating an entrepreneurial operating system for your business, which helps you be adaptable, which helps you have the structure in place so that you and your team can be nimble, right? It builds on things like certification, takes it to a whole new level.
I think I saw one of our courses was overcoming obstacles, which of course, when we talk about discipline amidst disruption, that's getting a grip on your business, right? Yep. We know dealers have been very successful the last few years, very successful, but there's been so much chaos with unpredictability, right? And what dealers keep telling us is, hey, we've got to, it's not get back to normal, right? Because things are not going backwards, they're going forwards, but wanting to, get their team back into kind of, what does it mean to have a sales process again, right? To get back, hey, we need to become pros again at overcoming objections and negotiating, because that's not how the last couple of years were, right? There's all those things where dealers have been asking us for help preparing for what's ahead, sharpening their skills, and that's where the discipline part comes in. This course from Jill Young at EOS is going to help with some of that discipline, and then we've got a load of other courses that are out there with sales, with marketing, to help dealers give them what they need to prepare for what's ahead. I knew putting me on the spot to make you a little uncomfortable, but I love it.
You're making me uncomfortable is your favorite thing to do.
No, that's not true.
It's true.
Maybe
true.
Slightly. The EOS thing, though, I mean, we know. Yeah. We do the traction process here.
Yes.
We've implemented a lot of that. We love it. It's super helpful.
We've seen what a difference it can make for us and our team, so we've lived it firsthand, right. Which gives us the faith that we know it's going to help dealers. And there's some dealers out there that are already experimenting with it too, and we've been hearing great things from them about how it's made a difference for them. Truly something that is concrete and that we know works.
So let's rewind 12, 13, 14 years ago. We started working on our first conference. We were helping the MRAA at the time, and we were in different roles, different career paths.
A lifetime ago.
A lifetime ago. We were in the midst of the Great Recession, 2008, 2009, 2010. And what I remember most vividly about those years, certainly the pain and the difficulty that we had as an industry, the dealers that we lost, horrible time for the industry. But what I remember from the work that we did together was that we grew the participation at the conference, MRA's annual conference, Dealer Week, exponentially. I mean, we went from fewer than 100 people, total people in attendance at that time, to we more than doubled it. We more than doubled it again. We nearly doubled it again. Today there's 1,100, 1,200 people that come to this conference. What do you attribute that to? I mean, really, in a time like that when we're losing dealers, and other dealers are afraid to spend money and can't sell boats and that sort of thing, they're turning out for a conference, an educational conference. They're flying across the country, spending 2-3 nights. Why?
I think, we've been joking and having fun in our podcast. But when we look at the seriousness of what we do, right, we believe in the businesses that we serve. We believe in the work they do. We believe in the difference they make in people's lives. And we take our role very seriously. It goes back to that begin with the end in mind, right? These people, because of how strongly we believe in the work that they do, the education that we design is specifically, and not just the education, the networking, the relationships with the manufacturers, right? Bringing the industry together to help them get through crisis. We take that very seriously, and we design our education, our networking, that opportunity of Dealer Week to help them with whatever it is. And in that time of need, I think that's what made the difference, is they needed something, and we took that, we listened to them about what their needs were, and we went out and found the best people in the industry to help them with that. And then we brought them together to share with each other too, right? Because a big part of the value of the conference is the chance to sit in a room with other leading dealers and talk to them about what's working and what's not working. And then we bring in the experts and the educators and the trainers to help them figure out how to create that change for themselves. But it's an important responsibility, and we take it very seriously. And I think the dealers see that, and they feel it in what we bring to the table. And I think that's part of why folks showed up, is because they saw that we could help.
And here we are, post-pandemic marketplace that we're entering at a pretty good clip right now. Discipline amidst disruption. And listening and delivering what dealers are asking for.
Yeah. We talk about what makes us different, right? And it's the by dealers for dealers part, right? We're not out there because we feel like we have this special expertise that no one else does. If we have any special expertise that no one else does, it's the expertise that comes from listening to our dealers and to doing everything we can to understand what their needs are and then serve them. And so that's the difference maker, I think, is that we live and breathe serving our dealers, listening to them and delivering what they ask us for.
We live and breathe serving our dealers. I love that. So, when we started this podcast, we literally had 0 subscribers. 0. By now, I mean, they got to be lining up, right? So tell them. Yeah. When and where is Dealer Week this year? And why, and just a quick, this is why you should be there.
Austin, Texas, December 5th through the 8th. we fuel your success, right? We're there to fuel your success. We're there to, we're bringing together the smartest people in the industry, the leading dealers, best trainers and educators, manufacturers and suppliers that are there to support our dealer community, that are there to be a part of helping them adapt to what's going on in the marketplace. And
very clearly the passion to bring that all to life, right? I mean, that's the cool thing. I mean, that passion is everywhere on this team.
Oh, every single person on this team. That's what they wake up and, every morning for, is the chance to serve. And Dealer Week is our biggest and best chance to make a difference. There's no place that's more packed with people, resources, education, tools, benefits, everything that you need to prepare for what's coming.
We live and breathe supporting our dealers and helping our dealers be successful. Yeah. This is episode 1. I got to figure out a lot for episode 2 here. How do we live and breathe this vision, this mission through this podcast? What are the deliverables that we need to have? We talked about industry updates. We talked about key insights, special guests, the opportunities that dealers would have that we wanted to make them aware of. We talked about actionable items. How are we delivering this passion through this platform?
Well, we do all those things. We bring people who have data that and insight and that they can't find anywhere else, that they need right in the moment, and we give them the chance to hear those folks and then plug into what they have to offer and surround it with what MRAA has to offer. I think you've got a tough job as the host of this podcast. I'm excited for, but there's so many opportunities to help dealers through the podcast, and couldn't be more excited to see who your next guest is.
Big shoes to fill. Ladies and gentlemen, Liz Walz, I hope you can feel the passion through the speakers, through your headphones, wherever, in your truck delivering a boat, wherever you might be listening to this at. Before we sign off today, a little bit more context on the Boat Biz podcast. We didn't spend a lot of time coming up with a name. We had a few ideas, and one of them rung out very clearly for us, the Boat Biz. We have a huge advocate out there. Hopefully he's not the only one listening to this podcast, but Mr. Joe Lewis, he's on our board. He's our secretary treasurer. He's been on our board for a number of years. Joe was actually the first person I met in this industry. You took me to the Miami Boat Show. We went to the Miami Boat Show, and the first person that I met was Joe Lewis. But Joe has a saying that he likes to recite over and over. And I never heard him say anything different, but he says it's a great time to be in the boat biz. And I felt like that was the hook that was like, yeah, that's it. We're going with the boat biz. So I did call him before this. I made sure he didn't trademark the saying and all that sort of thing. But I think it really is the epitome of what we're trying to accomplish here, and what we're trying to do with this podcast is to just share the optimism that we have for the industry, the passion that we have for this industry, and share the ideas and the insights and the content that we feel really can make a difference in the lives of our dealers, and therefore in our industry.
Yeah. They do so much to inspire us, and it's pretty cool to be able to hopefully provide those tools and action items to help them go out and get what their that growth and improvement and all their goals for their business, right? Fuel their success.
Yeah. So just a big shout out to all of you out there. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you can feel the passion that we have for serving this industry. we're going to try to fill the big shoes that Liz has provided to help us kick this off. But episode 1 here, super fun conversation. Thank you for taking the time to join me here. Appreciate all of you out there. Episode 1 of the Boat Biz, signing off. Thanks for the time. Appreciate you.